back to the channel. Thank you guys for tuning in on today's video. We are going to be working on the dually today again. We actually have a truck pull coming up in Centerville, Michigan, but we needed to make a few upgrades before we got to the truck pulls. So the truck pulls are actually tomorrow, Sunday the 18th, down in, like I said, Centerville, Michigan. The pulls start at 3. We're going to be down there a little bit sooner for tech, but we need to make some upgrades here. We've learned a few things from our first truck pull, and so we've got 2 upgrades that we're going to be doing to the truck to hopefully help with reliability, 1, and 2, also help out with the overall performance of the truck and trying to get down the track and win. So our first item up today, it's going to be in today's video that we're highlighting, is going to be our BD tap shifter, so that we can manually control our torque converter lockup. There is the part number there for you guys. So this is the BD tap shifter. This is a really cool, slick little option here. But basically, the biggest thing that it's going to allow us to do is manually control our gears, and then also have manual control of our torque converter lockup through this button right here. So it does replace this. We've got a controller. We've got our little monitor here to tell us when we're in manual gear, what gear we're in. Got some splices here. This will allow us to attach it to our factory column. And then, of course, we've got our wiring harnesses. This does have other benefits, such as a exhaust brake system that we are also going to be wiring in to be able to control the exhaust brake side of things. Basically, it just messes with the VGT side of the turbo. So there's a couple benefits to it. I think it's priced pretty reasonably. But we should be able to not only use this for sled pulling, but also everyday driving and hauling with our dually pickup over here. So what our biggest goal here is so that we can manually control torque converter lockup. There are switches out there, but I didn't want to just wire in one switch for torque converter lockup. I would rather go to a full system like this. That's going to give us manual control of all the gears and torque converter lockup. I really like this this setup. So that is today's project. So we're going to be starting inside of the truck here. Going to be removing our steering column so that we can get in our new tap shifter device, and then we're going to move on to the wiring side of things. This really isn't going to be too much of an install. I will go over and highlight some of the major points here, but I'm basically just going to set you guys up on time lapse, and we're going to try and get this thing knocked out and then go for a drive and have some fun. Okay, so I'm stopping the video here so that we can kind of go over, get the light on here, some of the interior installation and what we've done. So you can see we've got our display module there. That is for when we're in the manual mode. And you can see we've got our shift lever here. And then the harness taps into just underneath here, which you guys saw, taps into your tow haul. Basically, it just one connector goes into the factory harness, the other connector goes into your new shift lever. From there, the harness comes down here, and then same thing with your OBD2 connector. So this is actually the BD OBD2 connector, but basically part of the harness plugs into the factory OBD connector, and then the other half comes off of this one and plugs into your harness that goes out to our module. A couple of weird things. There are some differences between, so my truck, my truck's like late 04. And so it does have the tow haul indicator on the dash. If you don't have a tow haul indicator, then they supply a little bulb that you'll drill a hole and you'll run a couple of wires to for tow haul. Now I know we can move on to our second piece here. So this is obviously going to plug into our module here. And then we've got a bunch of wires that we're going to be tapping into our transmission wiring harness. And then obviously we've got a ground here. So you have to remove, my truck doesn't have it, but normally there would be a battery cover here. You would remove the battery cover so that you can access this plug right here. This is the plug that goes down to your transmission. And so this is the one that we are going to be splicing into. I'm just going to go ahead and remove our battery. That way we've got plenty of space here to make sure that we get good heat shrink and we don't have any issues with the wiring side of things. So we're going to get it plugged into the module, run our wires up to here, get our battery out of the way, and then we'll start splicing. Okay, so we got our battery back in. All of our connections are done here at the TCM connector. Definitely want to triple check before you splice. Just verify, because it's very important. And I can see, because I was getting ready to crimp the wrong wire at least 4 different times. You really got to pay attention to transmission side versus PCM side. And then you can see here we got a yellow and a white and a violet and an orange. That's where you're just tapping into that circuit. So basically what I would recommend is doing one by one. After I had kind of almost screwed up a couple of times, I ended up just doing each one at a time and just verify 2 transmission or 2 PCM. So very, very important. And they make a note in here about how many people screw that up. So, and then of course, once we were done making all of our connections, we then verified again that all of the connections were correct. So we did have our ground. That's good to go now. And the module, we did get the module set up. I will show you guys that. So we ran the one harness through the firewall. And we've got the module set up in here. If we can get in here. So we've got the module set up right there. The top black connector is the one that's going through the firewall, which you can kind of see back there. And we've got the white connector, and that goes to all of our controls up here at the shifter in our module, our little thingy that tells us what gear we're in. We're in the truck now. We're going to go ahead and look at our instructions. First thing I want to talk about is this variable vane control. So on the module, they've got this pink wire that is just jumpered. And basically, when this thing is turned on, your truck is going to have the capability of closing the vanes on the turbo and basically creating an exhaust brake. But that's only when that's turned on. And so I believe only when you have it in, only when you're using this, the actual tap shifter up here, will that actually actuate. So like I can have this in setting 1, 2, or 3. And then if I'm cruising down the highway and I get off the exit and I want to have that exhaust brake, I would use the tap shifter to help downshift, and then the exhaust brake would automatically happen so long as those two wires are jumpered. Now what I did is I installed a switch. So basically I cut that jumper wire and I brought it up to this switch, and what this is going to allow me to do, if I'm not hauling a trailer and I don't want to have that exhaust brake happen, but let's say for some reason I'm using the tap shifter, then I just simply hit this button and that will eliminate the exhaust brake from working. All I'm basically doing is interrupting that connection point. So we have that switch installed. We'll go back to that page here real quick. So this is basically how we have it now. Oh, come on. So that's basically how we have it. Like it says there, interrupt the pink wire. That's what we've done. And so now we can get to what setting we want to go to. So we're going to go ahead and flip the key on. Fire this thing up. So now we're going to turn this on by holding the plus button. And you can see right now we are in 2, which is lower shift points by 10%. So it's the same mode as 1, but shifts occur sooner. And then we can adjust this by simply hitting the plus button all the way up to 5, 6, and then 7. So setting 7 is where we have manual lockup on our tow haul switch. So if I hit this button, most likely the truck right now would probably stall. So we can unlock and lock the converter manually, but we will have to shift it manually as well. Okay, so we're gonna go to full manual mode to start off. I wonder if you can lock up the torque converter in reverse. Something tells me the transmission probably wouldn't like that, as there's no real reason for that, but why not? Alright, so this is going to be tricky. This is going to be like driving a manual. Okay, so we were in manual mode. Hold on, let me, I think we have to activate it once we're in drive. We have to activate it. So we just hit the minus button and that activated it. We still haven't hit lockup. There's lockup. We'll unlock it. There's unlock. There's lockup. You can see the tow haul light coming on over there. That's because that's how you lock it up. You have to hit the tow haul button. So now we need to unlock. And so I don't know if we're, so this would mean, oh yeah, we're in 5th gear. I just felt that. We're gonna get down. Yep, the transmission is is shifting. Okay, so we have it in the 2nd mode, and we've got the exhaust brake working. So we're gonna do this, we're gonna attempt this anyways. So it's gonna do all the shifting for us. Just like that. So we're in 5th gear and locked up. And when we get up to our turn here, I'm gonna hit the downshift button, and that's gonna put it into a deacceleration mode, which then should make our vanes work. So all I gotta do is hit the down button. We're in 5th gear, and I let off. Nice. Okay, that sounds pretty cool. So we are in manual 2nd. Yeah, so we're in mode 2. Now, what I don't know, what seems kind of funny, I'm gonna have to look through this again, but so obviously this truck is tuned, and so I think that it isn't actually doing anything with the transmission. It's using the TCM software that's in the truck when it shifts. So we can't, I don't think we can use any of these modes so long as we have a flash into the TCM. I don't know that for a fact, but that's kind of the way it's acting, because I've tried number 2, I've tried number 5, and the shift points seem pretty much the same as just my normal tune that I have on the truck. Now, I will say that once we are up to full speed and I hit the minus button, and it pops up and says 5, that tells me what gear we're in. And then from there, it's all manual controlled. And then, like I said, we got our switch on over here. That controls our exhaust brake. So we can actually turn that off if we wanted to, and just use the transmission braking side of things by downshifting. So very interesting little gadget and gizmo here. Okay, so first impressions and thoughts on this kit. I think if you guys, unless you guys are using your truck for racing or sled pulling like we are going to be, where you want the manual capabilities, outside of that, I really don't understand, or I see there's small benefits for if you're going to be towing a lot with your truck. What kind of sucks, and maybe I need to look into this a little bit more, but what seems like sucks is so if I have it in the basically 1st through 5th selection or modes or transmission strategies that are pre-programmed, right? If I have it set in one of those and I take off, and then let's say I got 20,000 pounds behind me and I get off the highway and I want to use that engine braking, I have to hit that minus button, which is then going to pop up. That's going to activate the module, and the module is going to show that it's in 5th gear if we're in overdrive. And then from there, you will have to downshift manually. So it'll still use the torque converter lockup strategy. So you won't have to worry about torque converter lockup, but you still will have to manually downshift it from there, which is fine. But then when you go to take back off, like let's say you get off the exit, you use your engine braking, you got the turbo, it sounds cool, whatever, and then you come to a stop and you're in 1st gear and you take back off, you're going to have to manually control the shifting at that point. The only way to go back to automatic shifting is to put it in park and then back into drive. And then that would reset it, turn off the module, and you would be back into normal transmission operation. So that kind of sucks, that you would have to come to a complete stop, put it in park, then back in drive, and then take off. So there should be, in my opinion, there should be a way to deactivate manual control like after you got off the highway. Now that we have the capabilities of controlling torque converter and what gear we're in, we're going to be starting in 1st gear and then 4 high, 1st gear, 4 high, and then we'll have the lock up on the button. So we'll be able to lock the transmission up in 1st gear at the sled pull. So yeah, should be interesting. And we got one more project to do before with the sled pulls tomorrow. So we got to let this thing cool down. We're going to get going on that one. And I'm going to separate these 2 videos. But thank you guys for tuning in on today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. A little bit of an install on a BD tap shifter. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, drop a comment. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.